Hello, everyone. Welcome to the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Underdog, Vivid Seats, and Rival Fantasy. It's Tuesday, November 14th. I'm Dr. A. He is my former podcasting partner in crime in another world and another time, far, far away. That's Matt Straub. Let's go. Matt, are you impressed with my production skills?
I cannot believe that you successfully orchestrated that.
I know.
My mind is blown. My mind is blown.
It's incredible.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
This is like a weird, like, did you ever see the Seinfeld where it was like pseudo characters like Jerry?
Bizarro World, you mean?
Bizarro World Seinfeld, yeah. And this is like Bizarro World Roundball Stew. Like, I'm hosting and you're the guest, or you're not the straight man. Like, it's gonna be weird. I have a feeling like the chemistry would be a lot better if it were reversed, but you never know. We're gonna find out now.
Who knows? We might revert. I mean, like, I might just take over and start hosting at some point. It could happen.
I mean, if you feel like it's going off the rails and you need to do something to save it, man, by all means, hop right in here.
I've got my eyes on it. I'll watch it closely.
For those of you who don't know who Matt is, we worked together at NBC for a long time. We had a long time podcast. I feel like we were just getting it to the point where it was about ready to explode. You know, I mean, we were on Joe Rogan's heels there for a minute.
It was close,
and then the whole thing got blown up. So
yeah, then it
whatever
exploded. So,
what have you been up to, Matt? What are you doing since last?
Oh man, I've been working on a couple different sports podcasts, doing a little bit of sports TV writing. I did some TV writing for the Women's World Cup over the summer.
Nice.
Still working on some sports podcasts, playing a lot of pickup basketball, Steve, and battling the leaves and acorns that are attempting to take over where I live. That's kind of the big three for me.
Okay. I have like a big 7. Thanks for asking, by the way.
How are things?
You can't read this, but
no.
Etched onto this glass, it says closest to the pin winner that I won at a charity golf tournament of 130 golfers, man. I threw a dart. And last year, I won. I also won closest to the pin last year. And last year, I got a dozen brand new golf balls. This year, I got a cup,
a nice tea glass.
Got a little
There's some iced tea in there for anyone who's only listening. Some iced tea.
It is iced tea. It is only iced tea. It's 11 a.m. But Matt, I work at a golf course. I drive Dahlonega wine tours. I drive a van full of drunk ladies from Atlanta around. I didn't your wife come up here and do that at some point?
She did. She might have been a drunk lady on your wine tour for all I know. I told her to call you. I'm surprised that she didn't. But
that's odd.
I'm thinking I'm going to maybe one of these days roll up in the Bobby Valentine. Remember when Bobby Valentine got tossed from the game and put on the disguise?
The mustache.
I'm gonna walk into your van with the mustache costume on and just see if you notice that it's me playing a different character. So,
and you know what else is weird about Bobby Valentine is that who you said? Bobby Valentine? Yeah, in Bobby V's in Stamford, Connecticut. Like, that was our old stomping grounds together.
Mm-hmm.
Old Bobby Valentine's place. Matt, I'm super psyched. Before we, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk news. Once we get all this gibberish out of the way, we're going to talk news. Yeah. We're going to talk panic meter, guys that you and I are a little panicked about. We're going to talk some hot players. Since I'm old as dirt, we might do a get off my lawn. And then I've got a huge bet segment set up for a day based on the fact that I realized at 5:00 this morning that Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren are going head to head tonight. The Spurs and Thunder on TNT. Matt, how excited are you about that?
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I think it's awesome that both of these guys are, living up to the billing for the most part, right? And in terms of fantasy, you're talking about two of the top 5 guys in block shots. So, I mean, both of these guys are very exciting. It's gonna be really fun to watch them go at it. I'll be dialed in, Steve.
Matt,
Not just because of your betting segment.
I haven't looked at. I think a lot of people are going to be dialed into that game tonight. I think people are going to DVR that game, and I doubt it's because of my betting segment. But Matt, speaking of Wemby, I drafted him in 30 deep. I got him with the 25th pick.
Okay.
Built my team around Wemby. I added De'Aaron Fox. I added Austin Reeves. I added guys I'm really excited about. Kobe White has been playing well. Like, I have not been this excited about my 30-team roster in a long, long time. And I have Cam Thomas too, but I haven't been able to run the whole squad out there together because Cam is hurt. De'Aaron Fox missed 5 games. We still haven't seen peak Dr. A 30 deep. But how are you feeling about your team?
Let me tell you how I'm feeling about my team, Steve. I am not in that league this year. I retired. That is what happens when you and I don't talk several times a week anymore. And when you're in a 30-team fantasy league, you actually don't notice who's in it.
Usually, I don't even know who's on my team, but that one I do know who's on my team. Let alone the owners, the managers in the league. I mean, good Lord, I could maybe name 5 of them right now.
I think I'd been in that league going back to 2008, and I decided it was time to not do it. It was time, Steve. I stepped away.
That is disappointing.
If we were doing it for money, I would still be in it. The fact that it's a free 30-team league with no buy-in, I can't do it.
Well, since I don't have any money, the only leagues I like to play in are the ones that don't cost any money to get into.
Fair enough.
All right, Matt. Let's hit some news. Damian Lillard joined us last night, played after missing a couple games with a calf. I think if you looked up the definition of the word rusty in the dictionary right now, Damian Lillard's picture on a milk carton might be there. He was 3 of 17, 1 of 9, 12 points, 5 assists. Somehow, I still beat my friend Richard in FanDuel with Damian Lillard on my squad. Thank you, Pascal Siakam.
Steve, let me ask you this. I know this is not the panic meter segment, and I wouldn't say I'm panicked about Lillard, but are we worried at all yet? I mean, I don't want to overreact to this last game, but he's shooting 37% this year. I mean, I think ultimately it's Lillard and he's going to come around, but if you drafted him in the first round, you have to be a little bit concerned, right? There's got to be a little concern brewing.
Well, first of all, for those of you scoring at home, that was the moment Matt Straub just took control of the show and instinct and nature took over. It happened at 11:09. It took 9 minutes. He's like, this kid is not going to talk about basketball. I need to redirect him and get him on track. So that, first of all, that was smooth and very. I actually really appreciate the way you did that. No, I am a little worried about Damian Lillard. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually more worried about the Bucks because you give away Jrue Holiday, right? You lose Jrue Holiday. You didn't really give him away, but you lose Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
Who is your defensive foundation along with Giannis?
Right.
You replace him with Damian Lillard, who doesn't play defense. Now Lillard is not the man. He's playing with the man. Yeah. Then he gets hurt. He hasn't looked that – he's looked great in like one game, right? He took over one game, and it's like, ooh, maybe this is Dame's team. No, it's not. And he hasn't looked all that great. And now they lost Jay Crowder, who's another like glue guy, defensive kind of enforcer off the bench. I don't think the Bucks are as good as people think they are, Matt. And I'm a little worried about Dame Lillard in fantasy, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried to the extent of what he's been around the top 60 or something like that so far, just on a per-game basis in a 9-category league. I'm not worried. I think he's going to jump up from that. I don't think he's obviously going to shoot in the 30s. We know who this guy is. I just think maybe you're starting to get worried. Is he not going to hit first-round value, I think is a fair question to ask.
Yeah, it is fair. And I mean, we're not James Harden worried.
No,
Like,
no.
I'm not going to
No.
get an email from a guy or a tweet from a guy saying, "Hey, should I trade James Harden for Cade Cunningham like I got last night?" And I was like, "Yeah, you might as well do it, dude. I don't want James Harden on my team." Great question, Matt. De'Aaron Fox returns from a 5-game absence, the hero of my 30-team league. Not only does he go off with 28 points, 6 assists, 2 triples, hits 11 to 20 shots, he did not look rusty. He looked exactly like he looked before he got hurt. But his teammates all went crazy. Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter all scored at least 20. That's 4 of 5 starters scoring 20 points. And then Malik Monk looks solid off the bench as usual. Huerter's been kind of a monster for the last 2 games. Old Red Velvet. Sure that is a craw in your side. Welcome back, De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he looks great, has looked great. The only small gripe I have with Fox is you wish he wouldn't quite miss the volume of free throws he misses, right? He's at 75% in a limited amount this year on 7 attempts per game. That's a little annoying, but you'll live with it. The rest of the production is really good.
Yeah, in my world, 75% is our goal for free throws since I'm a Luka guy. Like 75 is the gold standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So speaking of no Jay Crowder in Milwaukee, Jay Crowder had groin surgery. He's going to be out a while, like a long time.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis,
months, right?
2 months, I think. Yeah. Bobby Portis came off the bench, had 19 points, 10 boards, a block, hit 7 of 10 shots, 25 minutes. Chris Middleton is still, well, we may talk about him later, but Chris Middleton's out there wandering around the court for 19 minutes a game on one leg. Another reason I'm worried about the Bucks. But is Bobby Portis suddenly a guy that you need to find a way to get on your team?
I think so. I'm generally encouraged. He's been solid. Like it's not quite as exciting as last year. The numbers are down, but yeah, maybe it's not a 1-for-1 with Crowder, but Crowder was playing a lot of minutes. So maybe this opens up a bit more opportunity for Portis where he can get a bit closer to what he did last year, which was, more like 14 and 10 per game, where he's been around 12.6 boards this year. So I do think maybe Monday night was a start, and we start to see a bit more of the Portis we saw last year, hopefully.
Yes, I agree. Matt, where do you stand in the Bilal Coulibaly camp, the Washington Wizards youngster who filled it up last night?
I'm extremely intrigued. I will say that. I was looking at his game log, and I certainly don't have him on rosters, but I'm feeling a little bit sad that I don't. We're talking about 7 steals and a block over the last 2 games, 5 threes, 7 rebounds and 3 assists in each of those games. Yeah, I mean, when you think about what's going on with the Wizards, a guy like this should only continue to get more opportunity, you'd think. I talked about missed free throws. He is 1 for 4 from the line combined his last couple games. But other than that, this is a highly intriguing guy who is 28% rostered in Yahoo leagues.
28%. And if he's 28, if he's 28 in Yahoo, he's probably like 12 in ESPN.
And that 28 number is up 24% in the last week. So he's being added right and left. Bilal
Coulibaly played 33 minutes for Washington. He bounces in and out of the starting lineup. Denny Avdija's kind of playing well. So Coulibaly he comes off the bench, but he played 33 minutes off the bench last night. He had 10.7 boards, 3 assists, 3 steals, a block, and a 3-pointer. And he was kind of a steals machine in the preseason. People were getting kind of excited about him. He got off to a quiet start with the regular season, but man, he's coming on. If nothing else, y'all should at least go look up Coulibaly today and check him out.
1.1 steals, 0.8 blocks, 1.4 threes in his limited playing time this season. I mean, it's only November, but if you want to think ahead to later in the season when the Wizards season is, even more off the rails, just imagine Coulibaly's opportunity and some of the box scores he could be putting up. This is a guy you want you could potentially play now, but this is a guy you also want stashed for down the stretch.
Yes, and on a side note, Kyle Kuzma was great last night with 34 points and 4 triples for those Washington Wizards. Matt, I made a Schurzy bet with our friend Noah Rubin.
Wow.
I had my choice of anyone in the league who I thought might lead the league in scoring that might help me win a Schurzy.
Okay.
And I took Jordan Poole.
Wait, you could take anyone? Like you could.
I could have taken Luka. Wow. Yeah. Well, Zach,
this is shocking. I'm shocked by. I'm shocked by this.
It is shocking. It's embarrassing, man. I've not been able to sleep ever since that happened. So
yeah, I'm alarmed.
All right. Pascal Siakam had like almost 70 FanDuel points last night.
Yeah.
OG Anunoby did not play. I'm trying to think of the dude that started in his place. It was Otto Porter, I believe. Otto Porter started for Pascal Siakam, but started for OG Anunoby, but it was Siakam who went crazy with 39 points, 11 boards, 7 assists, 3 steals. Dennis Schroder was imitating Dame Lillard last night and hit 1 of 12 shots for the Raptors. That was hugely disappointing, but it's hard to be mad at Schroder. He's been awesome this year. Siakam obviously is a different player. I think if OG Anunoby's not out there stealing half his thunder every night.
Yeah, Siakam 30-point games this season, and they've come in his last 3 games. As for Schroder, I mean, yeah, he has gotten off to a great start. I do find myself wondering, he's been such a frustrating fantasy guy in recent years where he kind of hovers around that top 150 mark. You're asking yourself, is this guy actually helping or hurting my fantasy team? Would I be better off if he's on the waiver wire? He's been right on that line. This year he's been better than that, but I guess I'm looking for any sort of signs that it might be unraveling. That 1 for 12, not going to overreact to that, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see Schroder kind of descend a bit after his incredible start, because it's been a little bit better than he's been in recent years.
Man, I think the term, the saying, the phrase that you're looking for is you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yes,
right?
That would work. That would work. Yes.
Yes.
I took a longer route there, but yeah, similar idea.
You're taking Schroder with a grain of salt. Early Schroder with a grain of salt. Yeah. And I don't know. I'd be more worried about Schroder's history if Schroder had some competition in Toronto, but I just don't feel like he does. Like, I don't know who else would play point guard there. So I think Schroder's good to go. And note to self, if OG Anunoby ever misses another game, you better have Pascal Siakam in your lineup. Matt, did you know Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for best ball leagues, including fantasy basketball? Underdog's featured best ball tournament for the upcoming NBA season has $500,000 in total prizes. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $100 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code RWNBA. That's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today and use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. Matt, on the heels of that thing I just spoke about, I'm going to unveil right now my $5 to win $500 parlay that I threw together. I threw this together on underdog.com today, this morning at 5 a.m.
$5 to win 500 at 5 a.m.
I couldn't sleep.
I love the symmetry.
I was so excited about the show. I couldn't sleep. I had notes I had to make. I'm adding to our Google Doc on my phone in my bed. My wife's like, the hell, dude, it's 5 a.m. What is wrong with you? I'm like, calm down. I have a huge show today. Huge show. So here it is. And Matt, you and I have talked about this. Like when you set one of these little 5-banger parlay deals on Underdog, you feel like when you look at it, like, well, how could this guy not hit 2 3-pointers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a done deal.
How can Bilal Coulibaly not get one steal tonight, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a little harder than you think to have all 5 guys do what they're supposed to do every night. And
little something called probability, Steve. Little math lesson there.
Well, especially when you're clicking on the guys that have the little pepper next to their name, and it's like, those are the ones that are the jacked up odds. That's when you get $500 for spending 5,
right?
If you're taking a bunch of gambles. But man, you look at it on paper, and it's like, so how does this not happen? Here it is, Matt.
Okay,
I've got three guys that need the double tonight. That's all they got to do. 10 points, 10 boards, 10 points, 10 assists, whatever.
Okay.
Luka Doncic.
All right.
Walking double, done. Beef stew, Isaiah Stewart, Detroit Pistons big man, 17-11 last game, had a 17-11 earlier. Jalen Duren is not walking through those doors tonight. I don't think that your guy, who's the dude that got drafted by the Kings in front of Luka?
Bagley?
Marvin Bagley. Bagley's probably going to start, but I don't think he's going to. I just need some beef stew love tonight. I'm worried about that one. Chet Holmgren, national TV, going against Wemby, chip on his shoulder. Everybody talks about Wemby. Nobody talks about me. Watch this. How does he not double-double? So I need those 3 guys just to simply get a double-double. I need a man named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to hit 2 3-pointers.
Okay.
Not outrageous. 48 minutes of basketball, 2 threes.
No, I'll give you that one.
I need his teammate JWilliams to score 18 points. Matt, if all those things happen, I'm taking you to a winery in my van.
Jalen Williams coming off a 30-point game. Steve, I think I'm most worried about your Chet double-double, I got to say.
Okay. All right.
3 of them this season for Chet. So he certainly can do it 3 in, I believe, 10 games. So that's the one that I think maybe makes this whole thing happen. That's the one that has to fall for you.
And also I can see Chet getting a double-double in the first half, and none of these other guys hitting theirs. So
yeah, I mean, you could easily go 0 for 5 on this.
I hope not. I need the big win. I need it to happen.
All
Matt,
right.
let's move on. Let's move on to the panic meter.
Yes, please.
Let's move on to the panic meter. Unless you have it, do you have an underdog or tail, or do you have a bet for this evening that you got your eye on?
I don't have a 5. I don't have a 5.
A 5 banger.
I had a couple I was looking at. I was actually looking at the Chet. Well, I'll keep it with Chet. I was looking at 17.5 points and assists over on that. That he's gone over that in 4 out of his last 6 games. So I'm just going to throw that at you as an option. Okay,
that's research right there.
That's research. 17.5 points and assists over Chet. That's my Chet. That's my Chet bet.
Well, the other thing I could do is when we're done here, I could just obsess about those 5 players for the rest of the day and just keep building different parlays and just keep picking different categories. And
I like that.
And just go $5 a pop until I hit like $300.
I like that.
And then one of them has to hit, right?
One of them has to. That's math.
All right. If you are enjoying this video and enjoy this podcast, hit the like and subscribe buttons, because they tell me that really, really helps, and I believe them. And I don't know who they is, but
that's also math.
That's what I'm told. It's like a math class. Matt, before we get into the panic meter, I'm going to take a quick look at the comments and see if there's a question here that we should look at this right here. Brenda Jones says, great to see us together again. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Good morning, guys. Do you think it's safe to drop Scoot Henderson? I already have Anthony Simons and Walker Kessler need an IL spot. Matt, I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah.
I am okay with it if you have to. We're talking about a guy who was looking like a potential major liability in 2 categories before the injury, right? Low field goal percentage, around 35%, 4 turnovers per game. That's hard to overcome in fantasy leagues. We talk about guys who sink you in 2 of those categories, percentages and turnovers. It's tough. And he's a rookie. I mean, yeah, there could be some great games in his future, but I'm okay with it if you have to.
Plus, we don't even know when we're going to see him again.
Yeah.
Here are some guys that I'm a little worried about. Devin Booker, and I'm just going to rattle these off. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but Devin Booker's missed 5 straight games. That's a little concerning to me. This whole Bradley Beal is playing again. That's going to be interesting to see that dynamic when they get back. I just thought Booker was going to be back a while ago. I think he had his ankle was hurt, and then it turned into his calf.
I have some breaking news for you, Steve. I'm being told that Booker is returning Wednesday. Breaking news as of 11:11 a.m.
Thank you.
I just saw that.
Thank you.
So,
Blake Shuck also just told us that as well. So DeAndre Hunter has scored 4, 8, 12, and 10 points in his last 4 games. Before that, he was kind of balling out for the Hawks. They've got this 3-headed monster with Sadiq Bey and Jalen Johnson. I would consider you one of the top 5 DeAndre Hunter experts in the country.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to know what your take is on DeAndre Hunter.
Well, I'll be honest, it's been a complete roller coaster because at the start of the season, I was thinking to myself, man, this is the guy that we saw a couple years ago who was actually putting it all together for the Hawks. And this is a guy they had to have on the floor. And he was looking like that version of DeAndre Hunter. You know, you talk about the first 5 games, he had a 27-point game in there. He had a 23-point game in there. But yeah, the last 4 have been rough. I think Miami in their win over the Hawks was pretty happy anytime DeAndre Hunter dribbled. I mean, like he was turning it over, and I don't know, man. The Hawks, I think, are better when Hunter does less. I got to be honest. I think the Hawks are better when Hunter plays defense and when he catches and shoots. So I don't know that high usage Hunter is going to be the blueprint for the most part. And I think he's kind of a fringe guy in fantasy. I mean, he does have a steal and a block in each of his last 2 games. I have seen him contesting shots a bit more aggressively. He had a pretty nasty block in the last game, actually. And that's kind of been a weak spot for him, is the defensive stats. So I think I'm hanging on to him if I picked him up, but I am tempering my expectations a bit. And I think he's probably going to be a lower end fringe guy as opposed to like, oh, here he comes. He's like a mid-round player.
I think he's going to revert to playing like he was for the first 10 days of the season at some point. Bobby Rathman is with me on that. Like, I don't think DeAndre Hunter is an automatic throwaway. I think I dropped him where I had him, and I picked up hot free agents who play more games. And I think that's sort of where we're at with DeAndre Hunter. He's probably going to be one of those guys that bounces on and off of waiver wires all year. But there are times, 4-game week, I wouldn't mind throwing DeAndre Hunter out there.
Yeah, we've really seen both sides of the argument, honestly, through this first stretch of the season.
Yeah. Matt, who are some guys on your panic meter? I also have Markelle Fultz on there.
Yeah.
Knee tendonitis, and I think you've got a guy coming up later that maybe go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I with you on Markelle Fultz. I dropped him in a shallow league recently, and I really haven't looked back. I think there's a chance that he figures it out as well, but you're talking about a point guard who doesn't really hit threes. And, you know, his counting stats were good last year, but not anything you're going to regret dramatically, I think, if he gets it going. And it is crowded with Jalen Suggs playing well. I think a guy we're going to talk about later. So I agree with you on Fultz. I mean, I think we have to talk about James Harden for a second. 13.5 points per game. We haven't seen him averaging in the teens in scoring since the early 2010s. I know it's only 4 games. You expect him to be better than this, but he's 34 years old, and Steve, the vibes are so bad. So make you so nervous with the Clippers right now.
Yeah. If he is the system, I don't like that system. I don't want to be in that system if he is the system. I mean, everybody knew going in that this was going to be a science experiment. And there's a lot of flammable chemicals involved, and something bad could happen at any given second with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Now,
I had zero interest in touching Harden this year, and I'm glad I didn't.
right. And I will say, if you ended up with him, I don't think now is the time to trade him away. I do think you try to weather this for a couple more weeks as he gets ramped up, see if the scoring average gets closer to, I don't know, 18 points per game, something like that. He's going to be potentially a lot more tradable a couple weeks from now. Whereas I can't imagine it getting really worse than this, honestly. I guess it could, but I can't imagine his numbers really getting worse.
Well, it's James Harden, right? I mean, dude,
Yeah.
this is just the beginning.
I don't know. I guess I'd err on the side of trying to be patient. The one other one I wanted to mention, I had several, but
is it
I
this
think
guy?
Walker Kessler.
Oh no!
Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones was on my list.
I took a shot and I missed.
You were right. I was about to talk about Tyus Jones, and then I switched for some reason. So the question is Tyus Jones a drop? The Wizards clearly don't want to win, but at what point does the front office let them try? Steve, I probably should have let you read that, but I read it.
No.
Tyus
right.
Jones averaging 9 points, 5 assists. This is not what I think any of us signed up for, given the opportunity. We know that he's been really good when he's gotten a chance to start for the Grizzlies. I'm going to hang on to Monday's game, 10 points, 8 assists, 2 threes, and call that a step in the right direction. I am not going to drop Tyus Jones if I can avoid it. I think better days are ahead, Steve.
The two T Joneses have really been disappointing thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Trey and Tyus. They're both point guards. They're both maligned. I get questions about dropping both of them way more than I wish I would. I thought when I was drafting them late in my drafts, I was getting good quality guys for my team, but I don't know that I was. All right, Matt, let's move on to Walker Kessler. We've talked about Tyus Jones enough.
Fittingly, in the middle of the panic meter segment, I bumped into my microphone and nearly knocked it over. So I feel like that was an appropriate moment. Yeah, Walker Kessler got off that slow start. Now he's injured. I think this is actually probably a buy low situation for me, but I understand the panic. I just think even with the terrible start, I mean, he's still getting a lot of blocks. He had a couple monster games in there mixed in with the frustrating ones. I just think eventually Utah's not that good. This guy's going to get his opportunity. And with him injured would be, I think, a great opportunity to try to trade for a guy who's a real difference maker in blocks.
That Scherzi bet that Noah and I made also involved, he took Walker Kessler for blocks. I took Victor Wembanyama.
Okay.
I'm pretty good about that one right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about Cade Cunningham, because I find your information here to be shocking, simply shocking.
Do you?
No, not really.
I think that I just think panic is maybe not the appropriate word for Cade Cunningham, but I will say I think there's a chance that this guy is pulling down your roster in like a 9-category league more than you realize, because you're talking about a rough field goal percentage on very high volume, high turnovers, doesn't really get defensive stats. So I think it's easy to look at, the points, the assists, the threes, and say, oh yeah, this is going well, and not realize that he's kind of sinking you in a couple of categories, and while not helping you, not getting you steals that you'd want out of that position. So to me, he's not a guy I was drafting for some of these reasons. I think maybe you could put him into a trade, given his name recognition and the high scoring and all of that. And, you might be able to get a guy who's not going to drag your team down in a couple of those categories.
The NBA season is here. On behalf of our friends at Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team crush it on the court to the sound of thousands of screaming fans. Every dunk, dribble, and every heart-pounding play of your favorite team live and in person. Because Vivid Seats is the only ticketing company where you can earn rewards on every purchase, you can score amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today and use promo code ROTOWIRE for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's promo code ROTOWIRE for $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. Oh my gosh. $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats, experience it live. Matt, get off my lawn, old man rant. I don't know if you have anything here. Maybe you do. I don't know. I I was sitting at a restaurant called Miller's Ale House, famous chain. They're all over the place. We're watching the second half of the Falcons game. I'm sure you're excited to talk to me about the Falcons today. So I have no idea what's going on. All I know is I've got 4 of my 5-leg parlay has hit. And I've got Danny Gafford with 5 rebounds at halftime. He only needs 2 rebounds the entire second half, and I win $1 bazillion, right? I don't think he played a minute in the second half. I don't think he didn't have any rebounds. He finished with 5 rebounds. I don't know if he got Coulibaly'd. I don't know if he got ejected. I was too wrapped up in what Artie Smith was doing, blowing up on the televisions in front of me. I never was able to find out. But why does Vegas hate me, Matt? That's why I brought you on the show today. Can you explain to me and the people why does Vegas hate me?
That's painful, but that I feel like that's a little bit of the Daniel Gafford experience, right? You kind of gotta counting on that guy for one game, Steve, is so risky. You've kind of got to just throw him. I don't think I want
swallow, Matt.
I don't know if I want Gafford.
Suck it down.
This is helpful information to you now, but I don't know that I want Gafford in a 5-leg parlay. I want him in my fantasy lineup for a week or 2 and just let that play out. It's volatile, Steve. His minutes are all over the place.
He turned around
30,
last
16,
night.
26.
26, 9 boards. That's all he had. I just don't understand.
No, I know. And that's especially tilting while the Falcons are predictably melting down to have that happen. Makes it a tough Sunday for you.
How is it that anyone is still a diehard Falcons fan, Matt? Can you explain that to me?
I've had to emotionally distance myself a little bit. I still watch the games, but I fully expect the heartbreaking loss to happen. I was talking to, not to derail us here, but I'll make this quick. I was talking to a Bears fan who lives near me the other day, and he was like, "Oh, you guys have the Cardinals. That should be a pretty easy win for you." I was like, "No. This game is going to be incredibly sweaty, and I will not be surprised when the Falcons lose it." And that's what happened because that's Arthur Smith ball in the year 2023. That's just what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, and then last night I needed a double from Jared Allen. 12 points, 9 boards. He had the whole fourth quarter to get a rebound. Just didn't. Okay. Hot players, Matt. Hot players. Who you got?
Hot players. Who do I have? Oh, you know what? This is a name that we talked a bit about earlier. It's Jalen Suggs. We only mentioned him in passing in connection to Markelle Fultz. But, Steve, I just feel like this guy's been one of the revelations of the early part of this NBA season and the fantasy season, averaging 2.1 steals, 0.6 blocks. His percentages were bad early in his career, but his free throw percentage is up over 80. I just think this former top 5 pick looks like he's finally putting it together. He's a guy who, if you've watched a Magic game, just plays this incredibly tenacious defense. He's super aggressive going for steals. Fun player to watch, and I think he's here to stay in this Magic rotation and in our fantasy lineups.
Yeah, and Cole Anthony is combining with Jalen Suggs to make this Markelle Fultz thing tough. It is a 3-headed monster point guard. So yeah, Jalen Suggs has been good. Like I like him in DFS a little more than I like him in straight up fantasy. But yeah, he's been good. Matt, here's one that's relevant to what we were talking about from Brian B. Should I drop Killian Hayes and pick up Bilal Coulibaly? 10 teams, 9 cats. Would you do it?
That's a close one. I think for me, I'm probably going to play for the unknown of Coulibaly over the sort of relatively known of Killian Hayes. Although Killian Hayes has been solid, I think it depends on how willing you are to take a short-term loss for a long-term gain. Does that make sense? Like, I think there's certainly a chance you drop Killian Hayes and he has a better game his next game out than Coulibaly does. But long-term, I think Coulibaly is a play I want to make.
Well, and Coulibaly, the bottom line is, as Rick Kamlow likes to say, is fantasy gold. His steals, blocks, and threes are just so valuable if he does that long term. And the way the Wizards are headed, Why would they not play this guy 1,000 minutes a night? He's fun to watch too. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Talk to me about Dyson Daniels, Matt.
Yeah, this is just a guy who I picked up recently. I mean, we know that the Pelicans have a bunch of injuries, right? Herb Jones has been out, CJ McCollum's out. I think there was some hope that, maybe Jordan Hawkins is going to take off. And he did have that 31-point game, but he's been a little erratic shooting the ball. So I turned to Dyson Daniels. He's coming off a 17.9 rebound, 4 assist stat line, 3 3-pointers in that game. I think he had a 10.10 rebound double-double before that, Steve, speaking of double-doubles. We also know this is a guy who can pile up a bunch of steals. He didn't have one last game out, but 16% rostered, I think, in Yahoo leagues at last check. This is a guy that I'm going to pick up in the short term and see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm still hanging out in the Jordan Hawkins camp.
Okay.
Since I picked him up everywhere and need him to play well.
Yeah.
I'm still hanging in there with him. He's starting. He's getting 30 minutes, but I think it's kind of a coin toss right now between these two guys. And they're both worth consideration.
I don't mind the Jordan Hawkins thing. I think at this point, you've taken, after that 31-point game, you've taken a 4 for 11, a 4 for 11, and a 3 for 13. I think you almost have to roll with him again here on Tuesday night and just see if he explodes. Because
I mean, it sounds like the explode. I mean, he's due. It has to happen.
Yeah.
This is math. Yeah. I'm putting him in an underdog lineup right when we're done. Matt, look at this question. Brian B again. Brian B's blowing us up, but he's got good stuff. Someone just dropped Walker Kessler in my other league. 14 teams.
Wow.
That's a run, don't walk.
That's a
right?
Run.
Yeah,
that's a run situation.
Get out, leave right now, and just go pick him up, and then come back. We'll probably still
be. Don't leave. Stay for the end of the podcast, and then go do it, or try to open another tab.
This is all on. It's all stored. Like I was gonna say, it's all on tape. They don't say tape anymore, right?
Well, yeah, we're not taping yet. It's a long thing. I don't have time to explain it to you, but yeah, there's no tapes involved here.
Can you explain it to me? Maybe off the air when we're done.
Off air, yes. We'll conference.
One of my hot guys is Skylar Mays. The kid running the point in Portland, 2 straight double-doubles. Anthony Simons is done for a while. Damian Lillard, I don't know if you heard this, doesn't play for Portland anymore. Scoot Henderson, we haven't seen him for a long time. He did not look good when we did see him. Skylar Mays, to me, should be rostered in every league there is, Matt.
Yeah, and I think I haven't seen whether they converted his contract from a 2-way. I believe he's on a 2-way contract with the Blazers, but you have to imagine that's going to happen the way he's playing. 15 points, 12 assists, 18 points, 11 assists his last 2 games. See, I'm just saying, I think I saw on Underdog his higher lower on assists is 8.5. So I'm just putting that into your orbit.
I bet a double-double has a fat chili pepper by it too, like 2.5 max.
Yeah.
Jaime Jaquez. I don't even know how you said it.
No, you said it.
Talk to me about this dude, man. Plays for the Heat, right?
Yep.
Tyler Herro goes down.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about Jaime Jaquez. Suddenly, he's blowing up every night, every category.
Yeah. I added him recently. He's only 18% rostered in Yahoo. If you're just objectively, if you're not a Heat fan, it's super annoying that they got this guy because he's such a polished college player who like just kind of a plug and play, ready-made NBA rotation player. So yeah, I think they did have Butler miss a game, but I think this is directly tied to Tyler Herro, who we know is out for a number of weeks. So I'm on board with it. 38, 32 minutes his last 2 games. He's been filling up the stat sheet. So yeah, you can count me in on this one.
Well, yeah, and Butler was out for, I think, his really big game. But he's averaging 10 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 2 steals, a triple over his last 6 games. He scored between 11 and 20 in 3 straight. He's playing big minutes for the Heat, and it's pretty fun. Matt, we're going to blow through these. I'd like to – we need to get out of here relatively soon.
Don't skip Keyonte George, though.
I'm not going to. Keyonte George in Utah, matter of time before he starts going off. What would you like to say about that?
No, I completely agree. I think that, it seems like he's taken over from Taylor Horton-Tucker as a starting point guard. He's only scored 7 points in each of his last 2 games, but he has 9 and 11 assists, and he is an aggressive scorer. I think, he was 2 for 12 last game. I think there's a chance that comes around. So yeah.
And Utah's had a bunch of 3-game weeks. Like as soon as Keyonte has a 4-game week, I think that's when I'm gonna swoop in, make my move.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have been talking about my concern about field goal percentage with some other players, so that is something I'm watching closely with George, but I certainly think given the opportunity, he at least needs to be stashed on your bench.
Reggie Jackson, you're probably not fired up about this one, but Jamal Murray's gone till December. Wyclef, Gene. Reggie has 4 games
December.
this week, has 4 games next week. No one else is playing point guard for Denver except Reggie Jackson. I don't think he's going to get a ton of fantasy gold, but I think he's going to put up solid numbers in back-to-back 4-game weeks, which is all you can really ask for from a waiver wire pickup.
I accept it. I'm fine with it.
Bismack,
I don't feel great about it. I don't feel bad about it.
Bismack Biyombo gets picked up off the waiver wire, the literal waiver wire, by the Memphis Grizzlies. Comes in immediately, goes for 9 and 10 and a block every night. He's been pretty sweet. And then with no Wendell Carter Jr. in Orlando, Goga and Mo Wagner, Goga Bitadze and Mo Wagner, both putting up intriguing stat lines, serviceable and intriguing stat lines, Matt. We'll throw back.
Yeah, I'm on board with it. I'm especially on board with the Biyombo thing. I know you love the busy bee, Steve, and he's been quite good, and big opportunity there at center for Memphis at the moment.
LeBron versus Jordan, Magic versus Bird, Barkley versus McHale. Basketball is synonymous with legendary player rivalries. They make the game more fun and give fans the storylines that raise the stakes every time those players meet on the court or come up in conversation. Now, every player matchup and head-to-head debate can be settled on Rival Fantasy. This NBA season, you can play challenges where you decide which NBA player will score more fantasy points in their next game. Play the Rival Fantasy in-house challenges or create your own and get a friend in the mix with customizable social challenges. Sign up at joinrival.com/RotoWire now and get a $200 deposit match. It's time to step up to the challenge on Rival Fantasy. See you in the arena. Matt, you mentioned we're going back to bets for the night to wrap this show up. You mentioned Chet. You were liking Chet.
That one, the 17.5 points and assists. I already said that one. That was the best one I dug up this morning, Steve.
Well, let's talk about your other one, because this is a guy that I don't think I would throw a roll of nickels at if I had it, unless I was trying to knock him out. And
well, wow. Okay.
Aggressive.
Well, it's and do I feel great about this one? No, but in short, it's Kyle Lowry over 15.5 points and assists. He is coming off a rest game. They play Charlotte on Tuesday. I believe he's off the injury report based on the latest I saw. Obviously, follow up on that, but he had 20 points and assists a couple games ago. He had 21 points and assists the last game. He's playing big minutes at the moment. 33, 35, 33 the last 3 games. Hero's out. I just think, I think that's a number that Kyle Lowry can clear, even if you don't love having him in a parlay or in your fantasy lineup.
Yeah, you're probably
I'm gonna go
right.
I'm gonna go ahead
and disagree. Yeah,
I said I don't feel great about that one, but it was close enough that I said, hey, let's give that one a look.
Well, you were with me last year, I think, when I decided that I was done with Kyle Lowry.
For sure, I drafted Kyle Lowry about 17 consecutive years in my fantasy leagues, and then I kind of bailed last year, but here he comes again. Here he comes, Steve.
Isn't that a Dolly Parton song? Here you come again.
Could be. We'll add that to the agenda for our post call.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. The one that I put together last night when I was planning this whole show out, but then I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh my God, Joel Embiid is questionable now. Like, what is going to happen? Mm-hmm. I can't get on here and do an underdog bet that has a guy that's not going to play in it. So I panicked and I went to those Luka 5-banger special for $500. Was that $500? That's crazy, dude. This other one that I did is $2 to win $25. A little more reasonable, possibly.
Sure.
So the Indiana Pacers, I don't know if you paid attention to this map, but they're giving up like 150 points a game, right?
I've been watching some of those games.
They've just been getting trucked. So Joel Embiid out there against them, kind of just him and Tyrese Maxey. 49.5 total points, rebounds, and assists seems very gettable to me for Joel Embiid.
Benedict, he was like 57 last game or something like that.
Yeah, he's probably averaging 50 a night, I would guess, total of those. Benedict Mathurin, I've got him at over 14 points, 14 and a half points. He kind of went on. He's been going off he's been up and down. Now, this could go either way with Benedict Mathurin. Yeah. Tyrese Halliburton leading the league in assists. He only needs to get 10 and a half tonight. It seems like a done deal. It gets a little sketch right here with Bruce Brown needing 2 3-pointers. But Matt, Bruce Brown hit 6 3-pointers. Was that the first game of the season for the Pacers? I'm not really sure, but I know Bruce Brown has a 6 triple game under his belt this season.
Yeah.
I don't love this one. Even if it wins, it's only $25, but that would be nice. I'm not going to turn $25 down.
No, Bruce Brown is your big wild card here, though. He has exactly one 3-pointer in 4 of his last 5 games.
It's math. He's due. It's math. It's math.
He's due. 4 3-pointers for Brown put on the board.
Well, Matt, this is throwback just like the old days.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out the RotoWire draft kit, check it out. You can try RotoWorld for good Lord. You can try RotoWire for free at rotowire.com/try. I'm guessing that's like the 3rd, maybe 4th time that I've made that slip. And Matt, from working with me historically, I can't even get NBA players' names correct.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I mixed up, who was it? Boucher?
And Bosch.
Bosch all the time. So you throw me with 2 words that have a W for the second word and a roto in the first word. I mean, what are the chances I'm going to get that right? Like 37% maybe? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. The chances are higher of you hitting one of these 5-leg parlays tonight. You getting that right? Steve?
Hey, dude, if I hit for 500, you're coming up here. We're playing golf and we're going to wineries. We're taking our ladies. My kids will watch your kids, and we're just going to have a time.
All right, we might have to do that anyway.
Well, we should, but I stopped asking. You were always like, "Oh, I can't make it. I can't make it." I never saw a window where you were actually going to get in your car and drive to Dahlonega to play golf.
Well, now I'm going to do it. So
just
I'm
to
show up in that mask.
I wonder if Underdog could set that up for us and we could bet on it.
Perfect.
Matt, it's been great. It's just like old times. It's great catching up with you. That's what I like about doing this Tuesday show is I have a different guest on every week, and it's usually one of my long lost pals from the past. Next week, Matt, you might be interested in this. Keelan, my friend Keelan from Indianapolis, my longtime FanDuel rival and original member of the first fantasy league I ever started in the early 90s, is going to be joining me, and that is going to be spectacular.
Probably the first fantasy league anyone ever played in, for being honest.
Well, Rick Camlin claims that he started fantasy basketball. I must have been second.
Okay.
All right, Matt. Thank you for coming on. We'll do this again sometime because it was a blast.
Yeah, it was a blast, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll see you, man.